Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Taylor. I post all sorts of fitness and lifestyle videos and a lot of law school videos. I am a 1L at Washington University in St. Louis, and so a lot of my content is kind of centered around my experience as a new law student, and this video is no exception. This video is going to be a lot about the experience of studying as a mostly online student and kind of how to make the most of that. Some study tips that I have kind of picked up over the past couple of weeks that I'm going to share with y'all. So basically the way that my campus is running at the moment is I have one class a week on campus, and it is just like a singular class. So I meet in my property class 3 times a week, but I'm only on campus one of those days. And as such, 90% of what I'm doing is on Zoom, which has a lot of implications. You know, you're spending your whole day at one desk the entire time. There is, you know, you're not shuffling around between classrooms. It's hard sometimes to feel like, you know, you're really in that classroom setting. So anyways, we're getting into some tips to kind of make the most of it and kind of make sure that you're still working within that framework as best that you can. I can't tell if you can tell on this, but my hair is going a little bit the way of purple. Apparently when brown overtone fades out, it goes a little purple, so we gotta touch that up soon. So the first tip that I have is just one of my favorite things ever at the moment. And this is super, super helpful if you are the type of person who tends to get distracted relatively easily, and it is called the Flora App. So it is basically, you can see I grew a flower in my last class. Basically what it is you set a timer and you say you can say what it is you're doing. So I tag everything so I can see how much time I'm spending on certain things per week. Spoiler alert, it's almost all law school. But basically it locks your phone down, and if you try to do anything else on your phone during that time period, it kills the plant. There are no real life repercussions. You can actually put money on it. So if you're the type of person who really needs incentive, you can put money on it, and so you have to pay, and it goes to environmental causes. So it's not like you're throwing money at a corporation, you're giving money to good things if you mess up. But basically it just kind of is designed as an incentive to keep you from using your phone or otherwise getting distracted. It obviously only locks down your phone, so it doesn't lock down your computer, so that part kind of requires a little bit of self-discipline. But regardless, I use that 2 different times. I use that during class and basically use that as a way to make sure that I'm not getting distracted, because one of the things that you have in Zoom world that you don't have in the classroom is it's a lot easier to, have your phone out and have things going on in the background, because you're not in a classroom setting where all of that is strictly controlled. Everything is kind of rogue on Zoom. So you have to put a little discipline in yourself. And so that one I've found is really helpful for me in just keeping me off of my phone, keeping me focused on what is going on my computer screen. I also use it while I am studying, so when I am reading or working on assignments, just as kind of a bonus way of making sure that I'm like, hey Taylor, you are on this and you are going to put 25 minutes. I do pretty much everything in 25-minute increments. You're gonna spend 25 minutes on this and then you can take a break. So that helps break up the blocks of reading time to do 25 minutes and then let myself take a 10-minute break and then go back and finish it up with another 25-minute super focused session, and helps me be a little bit more efficient rather than, if you're just working without any sort of focus and you're just getting distracted every few minutes, everything will automatically take that much longer. And when law school already takes a lot of time, anything that makes you a little bit more efficient is a win. Another thing that is super important that I have found is, and I've talked about this in multiple videos so far, is time blocking. And so blocking off not only your classes, but blocking off when you are working on certain assignments so that you don't get to a point where, you're scrambling and working on something at 11 p.m. The day before it's due. So putting everything in so that you kind of have an idea of when you're going to be able to get things done, when you have free time, putting in any sort of events that pop up and kind of using that as a way to budget your time appropriately. And kind of going along with that, making a list of deadlines. That is something I've done pretty much every semester since undergraduate, is like just writing a long list of when things are due. In law school, there's a lot less of that because a lot of it is reading, but there are certain classes. I have 2 classes, my legal research, my legal writing classes, that have assignments that are due during the semester, and so I keep a nice long list of those, and then I also keep a tracker for like everything that I'm supposed to be reading, so that I have everything in one place, and it's really easy for me to go look and see when I have things due, and it makes it a lot less likely that I will miss a due date or miss something important to have it all in a list. This is another reminder, if you are the type of person who tends to like hyper focus on projects and then completely lose track of time, another thing I found super helpful, if you are going to do that, set alarms for your classes about 5 to 10 minutes before, so that you don't log on late, because that is the thing with not going to class, is that you are in one spot the entire time. And when you're not having to like get from one place to another, and you're not trying to like keep that in mind, sometimes it's harder to remember that you have to log on to class. And so having like actual alarms that are like, hey, open up Zoom, very helpful, and will make sure that you don't accidentally skip a class. Because I feel like it's so much easier to accidentally skip a class on Zoom versus in real life, because in real life you have to actually like drive to get there, so you like, that's in your head already that I have to commute, whereas sometimes it's just, my clock doesn't update on my computer half the time. Like, I've almost been late to class because my clock on my computer has said like 4:08, and in reality it's 4:15. So alarms, very helpful. Another thing is basically physically separating work from play. This is something that I tried really hard to do in DC when I was actually working, was keeping where I spent my work time with where I spent my non-work time separate. That was actually pretty much impossible in DC because I lived in a shoebox. So unless I was just hanging out on my bed all the time, it was kind of a little iffy. But here, one of the things that I try really hard to do is all of my law school stuff I do on my desk. So that is where I do all of my schoolwork. That's where I do a lot of my like focused tasks. But if it's anything else, if it is, you know, reading a book for fun, if it is, you know, editing a video like this, anything like that, or just, you know, chilling out at the end of a long day, all of that, I come over to my couch or I go onto my bed, and then I also just don't do schoolwork on these spaces. And it's helpful because then that desk is like very much like mindset connected. Like when I'm there, I'm working, and when I'm here, I'm not. And weirdly enough, that helps. So when you are in a confined space where like you're not actually going to a classroom and you're not actually being able to go study at a library, having like a defined location where you're like, okay, this is the only place that I work, and this is the only, like, I only do work here, really, really helps for focus and being able to stay attentive even when you are literally in the same room for the full day. One thing that is like an advantage of Zoom over, you know, a classroom setting is that, you know, you have your laptop right there, you have your computer right there. One of the things that I really, really love being able to do is I have my laptop itself with my Zoom class on it, so I can see the professor, can see whatever they're presenting, or whatnot. And then I have my monitor, so I have a second screen. It doesn't necessarily have to be a monitor, it can be, you know, a tablet, can be whatever, can just be printouts, but having all of my notes up on a separate page so that when we're talking about things, I can look back at my reading notes and like connect things and then add my notes in directly there is super, super wonderful. And one of the things that I actually really like about Zoom, because otherwise I feel like I probably would be required to not have my laptop out in class, like not use a computer. And I am a big fan of being able to take notes on my laptop and being able to keep all of my notes on my laptop. I just type so much faster than I write, and I absorb information personally just as well typing versus writing. I know some people have preferences the other way around, but for me, I really like being able to have that computer set up, so having a second screen where I can keep track of everything is a great plus on Zoom. So investment in a second monitor is like big recommendation from me if your main monitor is being taken up by Zoom, so that you're not, you know, wildly flipping back and forth between the computer screen with everyone's faces and your notes. All right, that is the end. Those are kind of my tips that I've gleaned so far. I hope that this video was helpful if you are also like me and you are spending your first semester in school online only and getting accustomed to this setup. It's an adventure for sure. So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more from me, you can hit the subscribe button down below, and I will see you guys next week for another new video. Bye.